All right. Well, hey everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Reed Merwin. I'm Wynn's favorite younger brother and the best man this weekend. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that everybody came here expecting to have a good time this weekend. But what many of you didn't realize is that right now you have a chance to be a part of history. You see, over the course of the next couple minutes, this will mark the longest time I've ever spoken in Wynn's presence without him interrupting me. So. But on behalf of the bride and groom, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And that goes especially for those of you that knew that I'd be getting up here and saying a few words, and you still showed up. I appreciate that. So to begin, I want to express my gratitude for the two families that are making this great weekend possible. So thank you to Wynn's parents, Jay and Julie Merwin, who also happen to be my parents, and to Mr. and Miss John and Stevie McClure for all of their effort. And I'm especially grateful to be able to support my brother Wynn on his and Caitlin's special day, but I felt it appropriate to give some of you that don't know Wynn as well as I do a little bit of insight on what it's like to grow up alongside this guy. So as soon as I began walking, I got this idea that anything that I saw Big Brother doing, I wanted to be a part of it as well. And when I lacked in size and ability, I made up for an effort. And like my dad was saying, Wynn's a smart kid. He didn't miss out on too much, and he quickly realized that he could capitalize on this overzealous nature and use that to his advantage. So when I say that he always put me first, it's not in the traditional sense. It's more along the lines of, hey Reed, you jump out of the tree first, or hey Reed, climb in this red wagon, I'm going to push you down the hill and we'll see what happens. Hey Reed, reach out your hand and touch that fence, tell me if it's electric. But several years later, Wynn realized that no matter what he threw at me, I was here to stay, and we eventually became best of buddies. And one event is pretty memorable in depicting some of the trouble that we like to get ourselves into. Every time we made it across state lines to visit our grandparents in Alabama, we would beg our parents to stop on the way home to let us get some fireworks. And we were only successful some of the time, but the conversation in the car would typically go like this. Our mom, always concerned for our health, would look across at my dad and say, Jay, you know, I just really don't think it's a good idea. There's a chance they'll blow their hands off. And my dad would typically side with us, and he'd offer some sort of colloquialism that didn't make much sense in context. He'd say, well, Julie, that's just kids being kids. So this particular time, we were each given $5 and got us a couple bags full of bottle rockets, Roman candles, black cats, anything we could afford. It was summer, and the Braves must have had an off night because we decided to go back in the woods behind our neighbor's house and put a little two-man fireworks show together. So we were about 3/4 of the way done with it, preparing for our big finale, when this lady steps out on her deck across the way and starts yelling at us to quit blasting off the fireworks. Apparently it's illegal or something. So we scurry into the bushes and wait for her to go back inside, because we know it might be another year or two before we can get a stash like this, so we're not about to quit for anybody. So we finish off the big finale, and as we do, she comes out screaming, I know where y'all live! So we take off running to the house, and we run upstairs. 10 minutes later, you know, we're slapping high fives. We think we're home free. But apparently, but right about that time, that's when we get a knock at the door. Apparently, she didn't know where we lived because she arrived with our neighbor from across the street, who happened to be a police officer. And she had visited his house first and started recalling the story. And he stopped her halfway through and said, nope, that's not my kids. That's Merwin's. So anyhow, our parents called us downstairs, and we were clearly guilty. We smelled like smoke, and we had holes burnt through our gym shorts where the sparks had fired back at us. So this lady's staring us down, looking from one to the other, and asks, were y'all the ones setting off those fireworks back in the woods? You know, and Wynn and I have that telepathic brother thing going on, so we look at each other, and I'm like, man, I'm only 6, you gotta handle this. So Wynn looks back at her, and he's like, nope, wasn't us. And she's like, then how come y'all smell like smoke? And Wynn says, ma'am, we were making s'mores. So needless to say, we got grounded that weekend. But I bring that up for my next point. Speaking of burning the woods down, hopefully some of y'all are familiar with a wartime technique. It's called the scorched earth tactic. It's a strategy used in warfare where one side, as they travel, they burn all of the land and resources so that the other side can't use it to their advantage. Well, that's a little bit like what it was like following Wynn through high school. I thought I was showing up with a clean slate, but apparently I had a reputation that was 4 years in the making that I didn't have anything to do with. And I figured that out on the first day when they were calling a roll. It went something like this. Martin, here. Melvin, here. Merwin, and I could see the teacher's face turn one of shock and disappointment. It wasn't true for all the teachers, however. The rec games and team sports teachers loved me, but it was the more veteran academic types that thought based on Win that I was going to be some bad news. One history professor even had the nerve, after calling my name, she asked, "Now you're the last one, aren't you?" And I say that last part in jest, because Win has been an amazing big brother. He's loved me unconditionally and has always tried to include me in everything that he did. For instance, he would invite me to play poker and basketball with these guys all the time. And although they'd sometimes make fun of my prepubescent high voice, I was grateful that Win wanted me around. He showed up to my sports games and supported me in whatever I was going through, whether it be an achievement or a personal struggle. For years, he's been my role model. And without him, I'd be a slightly less charming, less athletic, more awkward version of myself. And I'd be lying if I said, if I wasn't a little worried about how our relationship might change once he and Caitlin began dating. But if anything, it got better. I couldn't pick a better match for Win. In the practice rounds, this never happened. In between fall festivals in Dahlonega, football games in Athens, beach vacations in Orange Beach, and registering at Bed Bath & Beyond in Augusta, I've grown to love spending time with the two of them and to love Caitlin like a sister, and I'm thrilled that she will be a part of the family. And I know my parents have always wanted a girl in the family, because I've been told on several occasions, "Reed, you know, if you'd have been a girl, we were going to name you Jennifer Marie." And I'm just like, okay, sorry to disappoint y'all. But anyhow, Caitlin, if I know my brother, he'll always be there to love and support you and walk beside you no matter what comes your way. I wish y'all only the best and pray God's blessings on y'all as you begin this next adventure. Love you guys.